from an engineering standpoint and from a strategy standpoint as well, you're going into probably one of the more like archaic legacy system orientated arenas anywhere, right?
Yeah.
I'm assuming like there's aspects around compliance as well that becomes a bit of a challenge. Every department, I assume, is slightly different. How are you approaching that? What are some of the hurdles or obstacles that you're seeing, some of the opportunities for, maybe an engineer joining the team is able to sort of really leverage and sort of get their hands into?
Yeah, the way to think about this is that governments have more checks and balance than the private sector for good reason, to prevent corruption, to prevent graft, waste, fraud, and abuse. However, that's turned into a death by 1,000 forms in the public sector. It's jobs that become less meaningful because you're filling out your W-307-2A, right? And I think that might be a real form. But the consequence of this is that these jobs become less meaningful and less effective. And so what Holly is able to do is maintain effective checks and balances, maintain effective processes while turning all of this clerical work into strategic and analytic work for public sector workers. And so where this really is only possible because of AI. This is only possible because of the advances over the last 5 years.
That's interesting.
What we're able to do I'll give you one small example. We're able to solve this problem of that Cherie mentioned, benchmarking against the 10 or 12 agencies around you. What this means is that if you're one government looking at an administrative analyst 3, you need to compare your administrative analyst 3 against the 1,000 class specs or job descriptions of all of your peers. And all of your peers, one of them calls it a management analyst, one of it calls it an administrative assistant. And you can only really solve this by looking at the actual duties. We think about similarity scoring across these different specifications in the same way that the government would make a decision if they sat down one of their staff members and had them sift through 1,000 sheets of paper.
Yeah.
This becomes a pretty complex engineering decision for what's the most effective way to match one spec to 10,000 different documents in a way that is verifiable, explainable, and effective. But the way that we get there is by understanding the public sector workflow and then turning that into something that we can do on the engineering side effectively and turn into a real product.
Yeah.
We've had clients say to us, we'd print the specs out and put them on a table and look at them side by side. And now as an engineer, you get to take that process and click of a button and that analysis is there for you. And I think that can be really gratifying to see that happen as the impact. I'll give another example, which is, we kind of think about government as this like the largest producer of unstructured data. And so you're getting an opportunity to turn that into a usable structure very quickly and save just a lot of time. We had one client recently who they, through city council, they had agreed on a new template for all of their job descriptions. That was different from their existing template in terms of like, okay, now it has to be definition, qualification of duties, these different categories. And so they had someone that was manually, copy pasting different sections and of one Word document to another format. And this was taking her hundreds of hours.
Yeah.
And so in our product, you could just upload it and then it would you would use LLM to reformat it into this new description. And so for every engineering hour that we spent on this feature builds, we saved them like 15 hours of time. And that's just really exciting. I think from an engineering perspective, you are saving so much time for government workers where instead of copy pasting from, one Excel spreadsheet into another or one Word doc into another and kind of doing that route clerical work, they can actually spend it thinking about like, well, what should a person be doing in this role? What's the best use of a business analyst and just more strategic work that is kind of what the government really wants their workers to be doing. So yeah, I think there's just such a high ROI on like every engineering hour in terms of the impact that you're making for government and working at Holly. So yeah, I think that's what would be really exciting about joining us.